Hi, everyone. My name is Gabor. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to modernize your legacy systems? Because there is documentation of one of our lending systems has been built 20 years ago. And actually, nobody built it, still works here. And in the documentation, we have 47 different diagrams about the system. And I'm pretty sure about at least 30 of them are wrong.
Morning. I venture to say maybe even 47 of them are wrong if you documented it 20 years ago. So you're modernizing your legacy lending system. How's it going for you?
Well, not great, because every time I ask how the system works, I get at least 3 answers. And I don't know which is true, if any. So, and everybody says we should ask Bob. But Bob has retired 6 years ago.
OK, so you have bad documentation. Bob's retired. Good for him. And then we also have you want to build. What if I could show you a system? Last year, we showed you a system that Ablements was documenting your flows. What if I took you a little bit deeper into how to comprehend systems? Because what Ablements does, actually, is it takes your architecture and it builds a deterministic, validated picture of every system in the architecture that you want to give.
You're building rack tools? Because rack tools are not a new thing today.
Yeah, I know. Rack tools are now packages that come off the shelf. But if you look at that technology, the way to get it to be deterministic and to give you reliable answers is you have to give it good information. What we do is we build tiers of knowledge. So technical elements, technical enrichment, technical relations, call graphs, execution traces, data flows, and then we also build business elements and connect those two together.
Just, I don't want to interrupt you, but you send the cloud to my data because it's very sensitive.
No, we don't send your data to the cloud. We don't send source code to the data to the cloud. We do have a cloud solution, but most of our customers are asking us to do on-prem to ring fence it and to keep their database schema and their documentation and source code within the perimeter, so we solve that as well. For instance, let's see here, we just documented one system, and our algorithms, which found the various element, they found a stored procedure with 47 different calls, 47 different execution traces. The customer didn't know they even had half of those. Maybe you're one of those as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah, there you go. And then, obviously, when we build this, one part of the technology we're asking about is RAG. The other part is the knowledge graph.
This is a knowledge graph, I see.
There you go. Yeah, it's snazzy. The knowledge graphs itself look very good on paper. But if you trust knowledge graph building to a standard engine, it usually finds all sorts of relations and pockets of data all over the place. So you need to define what kind of relations it looks for, the ontologies. That's how you make your chats reliable. So for instance, here, if you look at it, once we create the knowledge graph and the RAG tool, all of this is automated, by the way. You just toss the system and it builds it for you. A chat interface comes up where you can ask questions like, what are the lending flows? What are the business decisions? And it actually goes in and documents everything for you in a chat window. So it's pretty cool.
But it's validated because every time I ask a chat, it's hallucinating.
No, this one is not, because we validated the information going in. We validate the information coming out. It does take a little bit more time. It's a deep research type functionality, but it does allow you to, with source references, get valid information about your enterprise architecture. So we've solved one of your problems, which is the Bob problem. So Bob has been encapsulated in our chat bot, and he can retire safely. The next thing you mentioned is documentation. So here we have, if you have this reliable information on the system, you can create any type of document you want on demand. If it's an architectural diagram you want that ties to your system and knows the knowledge base, knows the execution flows, boom, you have it. If you want to document the business flows in the architecture of a particular system, you press a button, and because we documented the execution traces and the call graphs and the data flows, the system provides you a reliable automated documentation. That's 2 of the documentation that we have.
Actually, and you can create other documentation like test cases or whatnot?
That's actually one of the biggest use cases. Because we go through all of the execution traces and we know the business decisions and the rules that your system is following, our customers have asked us to prepare test cases, test catalogs, and even synthetic test data. Why is that important? Because automated test tools are great once you give them the test cases, but you got to get there and build those test cases. So here we are automating that process. It's pretty cool, but this is just one element of this.
All right. So I see that there is an automated discovery, which is great. We have tons of documentation, which is also great about our legacy systems. But other challenges ahead of us, because we have to build the future. We have transformation projects and whatnot, so I have to build something new.
You're right. producing for you 10,000 pages of new documentation doesn't solve all your problems. In fact, it might create some more. But basically, you want to build. Going back to your original problem, you said you wanted to, Bob was retired, your documentation was out of date. We've solved 2 of those. The third one you're asking about is how do we build?
Yep.
Because we have the deterministic picture of your systems and your architecture, you can basically chat with what's called our coding studio. Our coding studio is allowing you to fix bugs, to create new features, but even we have a transformation studio which allows you to compare the as-is architecture to a to-be architecture if you're migrating or doing any type of transformation. What this does, the coding studio, is it prepares a package for your favorite coding tool. It'll include a prompt, it'll include specifications, API handshakes, the test cases we talked about, so that when you go to that coding studio, you're not just going there on hope and prayers that something good will come out. It's that's what. So you give it a deterministic package of what it should do.
So you're telling me that my team will get a full package with all the things together, meaning how to build, how to integrate, and how to test?
Yes, because I think at this point enterprises cannot trust their entire enterprise architecture to vibe coding just yet. You want that coding studio, you want those coding tools to have reliable information. So that's what the package does based on the validated knowledge that we've automated in the process.
So let me get it straight. So your system, Abelmans, can comprehend my system, meaning I can query it, creating all the documentation, and gives the full context to my team to modernize my IT, get rid of all the legacy systems, get rid of all the pain.
Exactly. So your original 3 problems have all been solved. Bob, documentation, and building.
Yep.
The SDLs here, the development process, we all know as nearing IT, that it doesn't get bogged down in coding anymore. Coding is only 10 or 15% at 5% at max. And automated coding tools help with that. It's the actual getting the specifications and the understanding right, which is taking up 80-85% of the time. And this cuts down that to half. So we're getting you to market faster, we're getting your M&A transactions faster, everything is working.
Lovely. Where do I sign up?
We're here at Abelmans at the booth outside the door. We're onboarding a lot of customers, and we're also getting funding. So if you're a VC, come by and we'll chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.